Dr. Amanda Reynolds stared at the Washington, D.C. skyline through her office window, watching as the morning sun cast long shadows across the National Mall. It should have been a perfect summer day. Instead, the crystalline ships of the Galactic Concordat hung like suspended icebergs above the city, their prismatic surfaces refracting sunlight into eerie rainbow patterns across the Capitol's monuments. Dr. Reynolds. Her assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. The Security Council is waiting. Amanda straightened her navy blazer, grabbed her tablet, and took one last look at the alien vessels. Tell them I'm on my way. The walk to the secure conference room felt like a march to the gallows. Every government official she passed wore the same expression of barely concealed panic. Their alien visitors had arrived 3 days ago, positioning their ships above major cities worldwide with surgical precision. No warnings, no communication attempts, just a show of force that made Earth's most advanced military technology look like children's toys. The Security Council chamber was already packed when she arrived. Military brass, intelligence directors, and senior diplomats all turned to watch her enter. At the center of the room, a holographic display showed the Concordat's message playing on loop, geometric symbols transforming into English text with unsettling fluidity. Dr. Reynolds. General Matthews nodded to her. What's your assessment? Amanda connected her tablet to the main display. The translation team has been working around the clock. On the surface, the Concordat's offer seems generous. Membership in their interstellar alliance, access to advanced technology, protection from other spacefaring species. She paused, her finger hovering over the display. But there's something wrong with the language they're using. The room grew silent as she highlighted specific phrases from the alien text. Look at these terms: resource integration, cultural harmonization, developmental oversight. They're deliberately vague, but when cross-referenced with the technical appendices, she swiped through several pages of dense alien script. The real message becomes clear. Admiral Chen leaned forward. Which is, it's not an invitation, it's an ultimatum. Join the Concordat within 30 days or face complete isolation from all galactic travel and trade routes. But here's the worst part. She enlarged a section of almost microscopic text. Hidden in their standard membership protocols are provisions that would give the Concordat complete control over Earth's mineral resources, particularly our rare earth elements, and something they're calling quantum active materials. The room erupted in angry murmurs. General Matthews slammed his fist on the table. They're here to rob us blind. Not just rob us, Amanda corrected, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Control us. These provisions would make Earth a client state, mining resources for their empire while they guide our development. And by guide, I mean restrict and suppress. How much time do we have to respond? The President's National Security Advisor asked. Amanda checked her watch. 27 days, 14 hours, and 32 minutes. Their message was very specific about the deadline. And if we refuse, they say they'll leave us alone. Amanda's expression darkened. But given the fleet movements we're tracking, I don't think they're planning to take no for an answer. The room descended into heated debate. Amanda tuned it out, her mind racing through possibilities. Something about the Concordat's approach felt off. Why give Earth any choice at all? Why not simply take what they wanted? Her tablet pinged with an incoming message, an anonymous tip containing fragments of data that made her blood run cold. Historical records, snippets of transmissions from other civilizations that had received similar offers. None of those civilizations existed anymore. At least, not as independent entities. As the Security Council argued about their response, Amanda slipped out of the room. She had work to do, and 27 days wasn't nearly enough time. Somewhere in the Concordat's message was a key to fighting back. She just had to find it. Above Washington, the alien ships continued their silent watch, waiting for humanity's answer to their ultimatum. But perhaps, Amanda thought, it was time for Earth to ask some questions of its own. 3 a.m., and Dr. Amanda Reynolds was still in her office, surrounded by holographic displays of Concordat data. Her eyes burned from staring at the alien text, but she couldn't stop. Not when every new translation revealed another layer of the trap being set for Earth. A soft chime from her secure terminal drew her attention. The message was brief. Loading Dock 7. Now. Bring no one. It was signed with a symbol she'd never seen before, something that looked like a cross between Concordat script and ancient Sanskrit. Every security protocol warned against meeting unknown contacts alone, but something about the message's encryption made her pause. It used a method that shouldn't exist, a hybrid of human and Concordat systems. The loading dock was deserted when she arrived. The only sound, the gentle hum of climate control systems. A shadow moved near the emergency exit, and Amanda's hand tightened around the small taser in her pocket. Dr. Reynolds. The voice was unlike anything she'd heard before, multiple tones speaking in perfect harmony. From the darkness emerged a figure that made her catch her breath. It looked almost human, but its skin had a subtle iridescence, and its eyes reflected light like a cat's. I am Third Data Interpreter, Vix, and I am here to show you what the Concordat really is. The alien, clearly a member of the Concordat's diplomatic corps, held up a crystal that pulsed with internal light. This contains the truth your people need to know. But I must warn you, once you see this, there is no going back. Amanda took the crystal, her scientific curiosity overriding her caution. Why are you helping us? Vix's expression shifted in a way that might have been sadness. Because I remember what my people were before the integration. I remember our songs, our art, our dreams. The Concordat took it all, not with violence, but with slow, methodical precision. Back in her office, Amanda connected the crystal to her system. What she saw made her grateful she was sitting down. Historical records, surveillance footage, internal communications, all showing the true face of the Concordat's cultural harmonization. She watched as vibrant civilizations were stripped of their identity, one generation at a time. Children taught to speak in Concordat standard instead of their native tongues. Ancient traditions replaced with optimized social protocols. Art and music regulated until they became mathematical exercises rather than expressions of soul. Her secure phone buzzed. Commander James Okonjo, her old friend from the Global Defense Force. Amanda, are you seeing the telemetry from our deep space arrays? She pulled up the data while still processing what she'd learned from Vix's crystal. What am I looking at? Concordat ships hidden behind Jupiter. A lot of them. And they're not diplomatic vessels. These are warships, Amanda. Big ones. She zoomed in on the grainy images, her heart sinking. They never intended to take no for an answer, did they? It gets worse. James's voice was grim. We're picking up energy signatures consistent with weapons charging. They're getting ready for something. Amanda looked at the crystal Vix had given her, then at the fleet data. 2 pieces of a puzzle she didn't want to solve. James, how fast can you get to DC? There's something you need to see. I'm already on my way. And Amanda, whatever you found, keep it secure. We lost contact with 3 of our deep space monitoring stations in the last hour. Someone's trying to blind us. After ending the call, Amanda stared at the holographic display of Earth, now surrounded by Concordat ships, like wolves circling their prey. But wolves, at least, were honest about their nature. The Concordat hid their hunger behind diplomatic smiles and legal documents. She began copying Vix's data to secure servers, her mind already racing with plans. The world needed to know the truth, but more than that, they needed a way to fight back. And perhaps, In the records of other civilizations that had faced this choice, she would find the answer. Above her office, the crystalline ships continued their silent watch, unaware that their perfect plan had already begun to crack. The abandoned Cold War bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with new life. Dr. Amanda Reynolds watched as her hastily assembled team of brilliant outcasts transformed the dusty military installation into humanity's best hope for survival. Project Terra was born out of desperation, but it just might be Earth's salvation. You're going to want to see this, called Dr. Marcus Webb, a quantum computing expert who'd been fired from 3 different tech companies for ethical disagreements. He'd spent the last 48 hours analyzing the Concordat's battle footage that VIX had provided. Their entire combat system is based on predictive AI. Amanda leaned over his shoulder, studying the holographic display. "Show me." Marcus pulled up multiple instances of Concordat ships engaging various species. "Look at the pattern. Every battle, every maneuver. It's all following the same basic algorithms. They've automated their entire military strategy." "That's not an advantage?" asked Lieutenant Sarah Martinez, a former Special Forces operator who'd been recruited for her unconventional tactical thinking. "It would be," Marcus grinned, his eyes gleaming with the light of discovery, "if they hadn't forgotten how to fight without it. The AI makes all their decisions now. They've lost the ability to improvise." Amanda felt a spark of hope for the first time in days. And how good is their eye at predicting human behavior? "Terrible," called out Jin Park, their resident hacker, from his station across the room. "I've been probing their network security. Their systems can't handle randomness, real randomness. They're looking for patterns that don't exist." The bunker's main screen lit up with an incoming call from Commander Okonjo. His face was grim. "Amanda, the public announcement just went out. World leaders are recommending we accept the Concordat's offer." "They can't." Amanda slammed her hand on the console. "James, we have proof of what they do to member species. Proof we can't share without revealing our source," he reminded her. "But that's not why I called. My team spotted something odd about their ship's energy signatures. They're all connected to a central network, running the same operating system." Marcus wheeled his chair over. "A single operating system for their entire fleet." "Standardization," Amanda murmured. "They're so focused on perfect order that they've created a single point of failure." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Jin's fingers were already flying over his keyboard. "If we could access that network, we'd need someone on the inside," Sarah pointed out. "Someone with high-level access to their systems." Amanda thought of VIX, the Concordat defector. "I might know someone, but first, we need to buy more time." She turned to the team. "The Concordat thinks they know everything about us, that their AI can predict our every move. Let's show them how wrong they are." Over the next 12 hours, Project Terra launched their first counter-operation. Jin released a virus into Earth's social media networks, not to attack them, but to create patterns of communication so complex and chaotic that the Concordat's AI crashed trying to analyze them. Sarah's team began training military units in randomized combat techniques that defied traditional strategy. And in a stroke of genius, Marcus reprogrammed weather satellites to create interference patterns that made the Concordat's scanning systems see phantom human activities across the globe. "They're getting nervous," Commander Okonjo reported, after another ship appeared above New York. "Their formations changed 3 times in the last hour. They can't figure out what we're doing, because we're not doing what they expect." Amanda smiled, watching the chaos unfold on their monitors. "We're not following any pattern they can predict." But their small victory was interrupted by a priority alert. Jin's face went pale as he read the incoming data. "They're moving up their timeline. The Concordat's given Earth a new deadline, 48 hours to accept their offer." Amanda looked around at her team. seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt. Then we have 48 hours to show them why they should never underestimate human ingenuity. Above the bunker, through miles of rock and earth, the crystalline ships continued their watch, their perfect order about to meet humanity's beautiful chaos. The grand reception hall of the Concordat's temporary embassy gleamed with an otherworldly light, its crystalline walls pulsing with subtle energy. Dr. Amanda Reynolds adjusted her dark blue diplomatic uniform, the flash drive in her pocket feeling as heavy as a neutron star. Behind her, 6 world leaders and their military advisors formed a united front. Commander James Okonjo stood at her right, his presence a reminder of the strength they'd need for what came next. High Arbiter Zextal, the Concordat's chief representative, towered above the human delegation. Their iridescent form shifted in what passed for amusement among their kind. You have chosen an unusual method to accept our generous offer. Actually, Amanda stepped forward, her voice carrying through the chamber's perfect acoustics. We're here to reject it. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. The Concordat representative's skin patterns flickered in what Vix had taught her was a sign of shock. Instead, she continued, pulling out a data crystal of their own design. Earth would like to present its own proposal for alliance. The murmuring among the alien delegates turned to complete silence. In a million years of expansion, no species had ever dared to counter their terms. Zextal's upper appendages twitched. This is not how the process works. It is now. Amanda activated the crystal, projecting their terms into the air. Our analysis of your offer revealed significant flaws in your standardized approach to galactic integration. We're proposing something new, a true partnership. Commander Okonjo stepped forward, adding his voice to the presentation. Earth will share its unique resources and innovation potential, but we maintain our cultural and military autonomy. In exchange, we'll help modernize the Concordat's predictive systems with human insight. The alien delegates' skin patterns now showed clear signs of distress. Their perfect protocols had no framework for this situation. Amanda watched as their integrated AI struggled to process this deviation from expected behavior. Furthermore, she continued, loading the data Vix had provided. We have evidence that your current integration methods are actually hampering the Concordat's growth. Look at the innovation rates of member species before and after integration. The holographic display showed a clear pattern. Every civilization that joined the Concordat experienced a sharp decline in scientific and cultural development. Their creativity disappeared into the standardized protocols of their new masters. This is not relevant. Zextal attempted to regain control. Our methods are perfect. They have worked for a million years, Amanda cut in. And in that time, how many truly new technologies has the Concordat developed? Not refinements of existing systems, but genuine innovations. The silence that followed was deafening. Among the junior delegates, Amanda spotted several showing the skin patterns Vix had described as recognition of truth. Humans are chaotic, she acknowledged, unpredictable. We make mistakes. But from those mistakes come breakthroughs that your perfect systems could never imagine. We're offering you something more valuable than obedience. We're offering you growth. A low rumble of discussion spread through the alien ranks. Amanda caught glimpses of skin patterns she'd never seen before. Uncertainty, curiosity, even hope. Zextal's form rippled with barely contained fury. This is not a negotiation. You will accept our original terms, or what? Commander Okonjo's voice was steel. You'll force us. Try to break us like you broke the others. Look how well your systems are handling just this small deviation from protocol. Imagine fighting a war against an enemy who never does what you expect. The threat hung in the air, made more powerful by its subtlety. In the back of the chamber, 3 junior delegates were already copying Earth's data crystal. You have 24 hours to consider our counteroffer, Amanda concluded, turning to leave. We trust you'll make the rational decision. As the human delegation departed, Amanda caught a glimpse of Vix among the junior delegates, their skin showing a pattern she now recognized as pride. The first crack had appeared in the Concordat's perfect order. Now they just had to hope it would spread before the warriors in the Jupiter fleet lost their patience. Outside, the sun was setting, casting long shadows through the crystalline ships above. Tomorrow would either bring a new dawn for human-alien relations or the beginning of a war unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The Concordat's response came at dawn, not with words, but with a silent wave of energy that swept across the planet. In the Project Terra bunker, Amanda watched in horror as every satellite in Earth's orbit went dark. Global communications collapsed in seconds, leaving billions in digital darkness. Status report, she called out, as emergency systems kicked in. Jin's fingers flew across his keyboard. They've used some kind of targeted EMP. All orbital infrastructure is down. GPS, communications, weather monitoring, everything. They think they blinded us. Commander Okonjo's voice came through one of the few remaining secure lines, using technology so old the Concordat hadn't bothered to target it. But Operation Blackout is ready. Just give the word. Amanda looked at her team, seeing the same fire in their eyes that burned in her own. Light M up. Across the globe, hidden facilities sprang to life. While the world had been focused on the diplomatic drama, Commander Okonjo's teams had been preparing for this moment. Mothballed radio telescopes, converted into makeshift communication arrays, began broadcasting on frequencies that hadn't been used since the Cold War. First wave launching. Sarah reported from her tactical station. The screen showed dozens of objects rising from secret launch sites, civilian space shuttles, modified with technology that would make any engineer either laugh or cry. Are those solar panels made from recycled smartphones? Marcus asked, watching the telemetry. And guidance systems cobbled together from gaming consoles, Sarah grinned. The Concordat's looking for military tech. They don't know what to make of this junk. Above the Earth, the first wave of shuttles performed maneuvers that defied every convention of space combat. They weaved through the Concordat's perfect formation like drunken butterflies, their paths so random that the alien targeting systems couldn't get a lock. They're adapting, Jin warned, monitoring the enemy's communications. Their AI is trying to predict our flight patterns. Time for Phase 2, Commander Okonjo ordered. Amanda watched as hundreds of tiny objects separated from the shuttles. Are those CubeSats? Sarah confirmed, built in garages and basement labs across the planet, each one carrying a different mix of homemade electronics and modified consumer tech. The tiny satellites swarmed around the crystalline ships, broadcasting on every frequency imaginable. Some carried Jin's viruses, others simply created so much radio noise that the Concordat's perfect communications network started to break down. Their formation is breaking, Marcus called out. They can't maintain their network sync. But the Concordat wasn't done. One of their largest ships moved into position, its weapon systems charging. All units, execute Protocol Chaos. Commander Okonjo's voice rang through the command center. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. The human shuttles, moving in perfect coordination that looked like complete randomness, created a pattern that the Concordat's AI identified as a primary target. But when they fired their main weapon, the formation dissolved like smoke, leaving the energy beam to strike one of their own ships. Direct hit. Sarah pumped her fist. Their predictive systems just got them to shoot themselves. Incoming transmission, Jin announced. It's Vix. The defector's face appeared on their screen, their skin patterns showing urgent excitement. The Concordat command structure is in chaos. They've never encountered a species that could counter their perfect systems. But you must hurry. The military hardliners are pushing for full invasion. Let them come, Amanda said, her voice steel. Every minute they fight us, more of their own people see the flaws in their system. Did you get the data package to the other member species? Better. Vex's patterns showed something like a smile. They're watching this battle in real time, seeing how a primitive species can stand against the perfect order. You're giving them something they lost long ago. Hope. Above them, the battle continued. Humanity's junkyard fleet, built from spare parts and desperate innovation, danced through space like a chaotic ballet. The crystalline ships, for all their power and beauty, couldn't adapt fast enough to this new kind of warfare. What's the status of the satellite network? Amanda asked. Better than before, Jin reported with pride. Our new network is decentralized, running on everything from amateur radio to modified game consoles. They can't take it down because they can't predict where the signal will come from next. The first battle for Earth's freedom was being won not with superior technology, but with the one thing the Concordat had engineered out of their perfect society: the human ability to turn chaos into victory. Project Terra's bunker had transformed into something that would make any traditional military commander have a heart attack. The main control room looked like a cross between a high-tech command center and a garage sale, with jury-rigged devices built from everything from toasters to gaming consoles. They're launching another attack. Jin's voice cut through the controlled chaos. Multiple ships moving into formation above major population centers. Amanda studied the holographic display, now powered by a cluster of modified game consoles. They're still using standard attack patterns. Marcus, how's our new defense system coming? Marcus gestured to what looked like a wall of microwave ovens connected to quantum computing cores. The QEM network is online. Every kitchen appliance we converted is ready to generate localized electromagnetic fields. They won't know what hit them. Commander Okonjo's face appeared on the main screen, a rare smile on his features. The citizen defense groups are in position. You won't believe what some of these garage inventors have come up with. On screens around the room, Amanda watched as humanity's creative fury was unleashed. In Seattle, a group of gaming programmers had turned their city's light rail system into a massive antenna array, broadcasting signals that confused the Concordat's navigation systems. In Mumbai, street vendors had organized a network of modified cell phones that created a citywide electronic shield. Their AI is having a meltdown, Jin reported with glee. They're detecting thousands of potential threats, but none of them match any known weapon signatures. The system can't classify the danger level because nothing we're using was ever meant to be a weapon. Sarah's team had coordinated with urban artists to create massive ground patterns that looked like abstract art, but actually served as guidance systems for their improvised defense networks. The Concordat's targeting systems are designed to look for military installations, she explained. They're completely missing our infrastructure because it looks like street art. Incoming, Marcus called out. The Concordat ships had opened fire, but their energy weapons met an unexpected defense. The modified microwave network created electromagnetic fields that bent their attacks away from population centers, making their perfect targeting worse than useless. Launch the kitchen sink protocol, Amanda ordered, unable to keep a straight face at the code name. Across the globe, thousands of small drones, built from everything from actual kitchen sinks to modified toy helicopters, took to the sky. Each one carried a tiny piece of Jin's latest virus, written in code so chaotic that it looked like random noise to the Concordat's security systems. They're through, Jin shouted in triumph. The viral swarm is penetrating their network. Every device is broadcasting a different fragment of code, but when they all connect, on the main screen, They watched as Concordat ships began to move erratically. Their perfect formation dissolved into confusion as thousands of conflicting commands flooded their network. Message from VIX, Sarah announced. The member species are watching this, seeing their perfect warriors thrown into chaos by what they considered primitive technology. Some of them are already beginning to question the Concordat's leadership. Amanda smiled as she watched a Concordat cruiser retreat from an attack by what appeared to be a swarm of modified Roomba vacuum cleaners, each broadcasting a different fragment of nonsense code that, when combined, created a symphony of chaos their systems couldn't handle. Dr. Reynolds, a junior analyst, called out, "You need to see this. Our deep space monitors are picking up something strange from the Jupiter fleet." The images showed the massive warships, their perfect formations beginning to break down. Some were moving out of position, their crews apparently unable to reconcile their standing orders with the unprecedented situation on Earth. "They're paralyzed," Commander Okonjo observed. "Their entire military doctrine is based on fighting enemies who follow logical patterns. We're using playground rules in a chess match, and their strategists don't know how to respond." Amanda watched as more Concordat ships withdrew from Earth's orbit, their perfect order shattered by humanity's creative chaos. "Send word to all teams. Keep innovation running wild. The more random and unpredictable we are, the less their systems can adapt." Somewhere in the Concordat's command structure, she knew, their leaders were beginning to realize a terrible truth. They had spent 1,000,000 years perfecting their response to every possible threat, only to find themselves helpless against the impossible. The Concordat's central command ship hung above Geneva like a crystalline mountain, its perfect geometry now marred by fluctuating energy patterns. Inside Project Terra's bunker, Amanda and her team watched as their final operation began to unfold. "Operation Babel is go." Commander Okonjo's voice crackled through their modified communications network. "All teams are in position." VIX's intelligence was perfect. Their command and control systems are all routed through that single ship. "Their greatest strength is about to become their greatest weakness," Amanda said, looking at the assembled team. "Jin, start the broadcast." Across every frequency, on every device capable of receiving a signal, the truth about the Concordat began to flow. Not just to Earth, but to every member species in their vast empire. VIX had helped them access the Concordat's own communication networks, turning their perfect information control against them. "They're trying to shut down the broadcasts," Jin reported, his fingers dancing across his console. "But they can't block them all. We're using everything from radio waves to modified television signals. Each time they block one channel, we open 3 more." On screens around the room, they could see the impact. Concordat ships across the solar system began breaking formation as their crews received the transmissions. Historical records, surveillance footage, internal communications, all showing the systematic destruction of cultural identity among member species. "Multiple ships are going dark," Sarah announced. "They're dropping out of the Concordat's network entirely. The chain of command is starting to break." Amanda turned to a private screen where VIX's face appeared. "How many?" "More than we hoped." The defectors' skin patterns showed excitement. "The warrior caste of the Anxil are the first to break away. They remember their ancient honor codes and the evidence of how the Concordat made them forget them. It was too much." Commander Okonjo's voice cut through the chatter. "The Jupiter fleet is in chaos. 3 different factions are forming. One loyal to the Concordat, one supporting Earth, and one just trying to get home." "Now," Amanda ordered, and Marcus activated their final weapon. A quantum algorithm so complex it had taken 1,000 gaming computers working in parallel to create it. Unlike the brute force attacks they used before, this was a precise surgical strike at the heart of the Concordat's control systems. Their AI is trying to counter, Jin warned, watching the data streams. But it can't. The algorithm keeps changing, learning, evolving. Everything their static systems can't do. On the main screen, they watched as the command ship's perfect crystalline structure began to pulse with erratic energy patterns. Inside, the Concordat's leaders were facing something they'd engineered out of their society centuries ago: the need to make decisions without their AI's guidance. Message from High Arbiter Zextal, Sarah called out. They're requesting a ceasefire. No, Amanda corrected, reading the actual message. They're requesting help. Their systems are failing, and they don't know how to function without them. They'd forgotten how to think for themselves. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just resisted the Concordat. They'd shown them the fatal flaw in their perfect system. By removing chaos and uncertainty from their society, they'd made themselves vulnerable to both. New signals coming in, Jin reported, his voice full of wonder. Ships from different member species. They're broadcasting in their original languages. Languages that haven't been used in centuries. Amanda watched as the Concordat's perfect order dissolved not into destruction, but into something new. Species after species began breaking away from the network, rediscovering their lost identities, their forgotten ways of thinking. Send a message to all ships, she ordered. Tell them Earth is ready to help them remember who they were. Not as subjects or rulers, but as equals. Commander Okonjo's face showed pride as he added, and tell them we'll teach them something the Concordat made them forget. How to embrace the chaos that makes life worth living. Above the Earth, the crystalline ships no longer looked like perfect, threatening formations. Instead, they hung in the sky, like a reminder that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in perfect order, but in the beautiful unpredictability of free will. 3 months after the Concordat's dissolution, Amanda stood in the newly established Galactic Cooperation Center, once the Concordat's Geneva command ship. The crystalline walls now pulsed with a rainbow of colors, each representing a different species' cultural identity reborn. The latest reports from the transition teams are in, Commander Okonjo said, joining her at the observation window. Below them, representatives from 24 former Concordat species mingled with human diplomats and scientists. 16 more worlds have successfully deactivated their standardization protocols. And the Cultural Recovery Program? Amanda asked, watching as a group of Enxol warriors performed their recently remembered traditional greeting ritual for some fascinated human anthropologists. Better than we hoped. He brought up a holographic display showing spreading points of light across a galactic map. Every freed species is rediscovering their heritage at their own pace. The Zentari have already revived their ancient music traditions. Apparently, they used to be the galaxy's greatest artists before the Concordat optimized their culture. Jin burst into the room, his usual energy amplified by excitement. You need to see this. The quantum computing team just made a breakthrough with the recovered Concordat archives. The display shifted to show complex data streams that Amanda had learned to read over the past months. Is that what I think it is? The original Concordat source code, Jin confirmed. We finally cracked it. Turns out their entire empire was built on a programming error. Their eye was stuck in a logic loop that prioritized standardization above all else, including growth and innovation. Sarah joined them, coming from the Defense Coordination Center. Speaking of innovation, you won't believe what the combined research teams have developed. Remember those junkyard solutions we came up with during the conflict? The Orcs, the engineers, got their hands on them. They've created an entirely new class of technology. They're calling it adaptive tech. How far we've come, Amanda mused, remembering the terror of those first days when the Concordat ships appeared above Earth. From fighting for survival to teaching the galaxy how to embrace chaos again. Vex approached their group, their skin now displaying colors that had been forbidden under Concordat rule. The Council of Free Worlds is ready for your address, Dr. Reynolds. They're particularly interested in Earth's proposal for the new Galactic Charter. As they walked to the council chamber, Amanda saw the changes everywhere. Species that had been forced into identical modes of behavior for centuries were rediscovering their unique identities. The crystalline halls now echoed with different languages, different ways of moving, different ways of thinking. The council chamber itself had been transformed. Gone was the rigid hierarchy of the Concordat era. Instead, representatives sat in a circle, each station adapted to their species' needs and cultural preferences. Before we begin, Amanda addressed the assembly. I want to share something we found in Earth's old archives. It's a quote from a human writer. The beauty of the universe lies not in its perfection, but in its endless variety. She gestured to the gathered representatives. Look around this room. A few months ago, the Concordat would have had us all speaking the same language, moving the same way, thinking the same thoughts. They called it perfect order. We call it stagnation. Commander Okonjo stepped forward with her. Instead, look at what we've achieved together. New technologies born from the combination of different perspectives. Cultural revivals sparking scientific breakthroughs. The freedom to be different leading to growth none of us could have imagined. The stars once threatened to consume us, Amanda concluded, to erase who we were in the name of perfect order. Instead, we showed them a better way. Not through force, not through uniformity, but through the very chaos they feared. Today, we don't just celebrate Earth's freedom, or even the freedom of all our worlds. We celebrate the freedom to be ourselves, to grow, to change, and to face the future not as a single perfect note, but as a symphony of infinite possibility. Above them, through the transparent ceiling, the stars seemed to shine brighter, no longer a threat, but a promise of adventures yet to come. Humanity had not just survived their first contact with galactic civilization. They had transformed it, one act of beautiful chaos at a time.